Yesterday I was actually going through some posts on LinkedIn, and I found a rather interesting one. I think it was Benjamin who liked it, and then, it was presented to me. It's from Euroforest Silviculture.
Yeah.
And it says, protecting wildlife with thermal drones. So after a recent wind blow, we used a thermal drone to scan the area before starting clearing work. And it's a good thing we did. Hidden among the fallen trees, we found a mother deer and her baby. Thanks to this technology, we were able to safely relocate them before any heavy machine moved in. So that's a nice use case for thermal imaging on drones. And you can actually see here on the image, you can't see, but there's for the post, there's actually some video that highlights the deer, also with the thermal camera.
One could actually argue that the machine should have a thermal camera on them.
Yeah.
Then you don't need the drone. And
Yeah,
then
that's a good idea.
You can see it before you start.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a nice little use case for it.
Yep.
But also, does it? Can you remember if it says anything about how did they move them then?
No, it doesn't.
Because maybe you could get the drone to move them. Get close to them.
Yeah, then it's not a Mavic Mini then.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Welcome to this week's episode, and it's episode 18. And
close to 20.
You're listening into Foresting Tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's the name.
Just you and me today.
If you're in doubt. Yeah, just you and me. Just you and me, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, last time was really good, fun, because we had Jakob here. Oh, yeah.
Not Jakob, Mikael.
Sorry.
Culture.
Sorry, Mikael. Sorry. Yeah, it was really interesting.
You're not good with names.
No, really not. Maybe he looks like a Jakob. Sorry.
I don't want to comment on that.
No.
Okay, so let's carry on. So, so that was a bit of technology. And the next thing I have for you doesn't involve much technology, but it does involve something about trees. Because this is actually a history of the first tree out of 886. Okay?
The first tree
out of 886. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No. What?
No guess?
So there's 800 and...
Yes, this story that I'm about to tell is about one of them, the first one.
Okay, I'm totally confused. But
I can see that on your face. So I can give you a hint more.
Yeah.
It's something related to an event that happened the 16th of April this year.
Last year.
Sorry.
Yeah,
last year.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
You're allowed to do that throughout January.
Yeah.
But
we're in February.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is?
16th of April.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a good hint. I have no idea.
We're in Copenhagen, and it involves flames.
Oh, now I get it.
Okay.
It's from Pedersen.
Yes.
That burnt down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so now that's the.
Yeah, it's because of course they of course want to rebuild. So the story is that on 16th of April last year, Copenhagen's iconic Pedersen, the stock exchange.
Yeah, really old building.
Yeah, 400 years.
Yeah.
Bursted into flames because they're in the process of renovating the copper roof. And for some reason, fire just...
Something sparked a fire, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was within hours, it was more or less gone.
Yeah.
To some extent.
Burn fast, yeah.
Yeah, and it's actually the largest protected building in Denmark, 400 years old. This year, they're about to, I guess it would be this year because it will probably... No, I actually don't know if it was supposed to be finalized last year or this year.
Okay, the renovation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the renovation should have been completed for the 400 years anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it bursted into flames, and the images on the news, and it was horrific. So Pedersen. I actually, if I just remember my note, I actually have it here. So Pedersen was created in 1624. So it was last year, the 400 years anniversary.
Yeah, and it's from a time where you really have details in your buildings. All new buildings are just squares. But back then, all the masonry and all that thing.
It's a beautiful building.
And it's the one with the spear, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's actually created by Christian the Fourth, the king. And the idea was to create an international trading hub.
Right. Back in 1600.
So it's been used for a lot of things, stock exchange, offices. Also, there was actually a shopping center on the ground floor.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Back then, where they sold goods like spices, textiles, porcelain from India and China, and stuff like that. And then the current owner, which is Dansk Erhverv, Danish business. I don't know how to say that, but Dansk Erhverv. So that's...
Maybe it's Danish Business Association or something like that.
No,
Isn't it like a... Is it like a...
I don't know if you would say association... Yeah, but anyway. So it bursted into flame last year. And so the CEO of Dansk Erhverv, Brian Mikkelsen, he actually posted something on LinkedIn last week because he was out in a plantation called Isbak to take down the first of these trees that are used for the, let me see, so it's the let me see. So
it's not the roof construction, or
no, it's stuebjælkelaget.
Okay, I think I know what that is.
The roofing for the
first,
the ground floor.
Yeah. So that what would be the floor for the first floor?
Yeah, exactly. So apparently this is made out of Scotch pine, Pinus sylvestris. If you want,
Whoa!
I've been practicing.
Yeah.
So he was out in Isbak plantation to fell the first out of these 886 trees that are supposed to be used in the reconstruction of Pedersen.
So in the reconstruction, they're going for actual reconstructing with exactly the same materials and so on.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember, I don't think it was that much time after the fire they actually started talking about they wanted to figure out where to find these trees used for the reconstruction. But he was out and actually helped felling the first tree for this roof construction. And what is supposed to happen with the trees now is it needs to be cut up, and then it needs to dry for 5 to 6 months, it says, and then ready for use in the autumn.
Okay. Do we have any information on how long and the diameter and so on? The height of these? Okay.
Yeah, about 24 meters high are the trees and 55 centimeters in diameter.
Yeah, and it's almost like one tree is one, what do you call it, beam?
It is.
Yeah.
And of course, it's probably not the best way to construct. You probably won't do that today, but
no, probably
again, it's a reconstruction, so it's important that it's like the old building. And it was actually documented on television also this Sunday on national TV. And it's a good story. And the funny thing is, of course, Brian Mikkelsen, he's an old... what was he actually? What party was he in?
He was in Venstre, wasn't he? Left.
Was it?
I think it was Venstre, Brian Mikkelsen, yeah.
Yeah. But he's a very known guy, and of course, there's a lot of likes and comments on his post. And the funny thing is that is probably something that happens in other countries as well, is that there's your ordinary guy, girl on the street, of course, has an opinion about, why we're felling trees. So, of course, they can't appreciate. I mean, why are you felling trees?
Yeah.
Where was the tree supposed to arrive from?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, why are we felling trees? And but Brian Mikkelsen, good as he is, he also states that, but this is a sustainable forest. If you look next to it, there's actually what's it called, continuous covered sort of setup.
Okay.
So it's good.
Yeah, well, that isn't that one of the main points with using trees, for building and for construction, is that you then can actually layer the carbon instead of burning it, so you then release it again. So the more wood and tree you can use, the better, as long as you, of course, ensure that you plant new ones.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice story.
Yeah, exactly. And I like that they, reconstruct and they could just have used, iron beams or steel beams is probably.
Yeah.
So.
And also, I guess I think it was also renovated in some point in time. I think half of it is better protected against against fires.
Okay.
So I would assume they're also thinking about that, also when they reconstruct. I think I read something about that half of it is better protected than the other one. And
I don't know when the times it has been renovated, because some points in time we use some materials that if you renovate now, you need to remove them because they're highly flammable.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
If that was in,
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
Okay. Let's carry on.
Yeah.
I actually have a good one, but if you have one, then I'll jump to that afterwards.
Yeah, so my story, or how should I say it, for today is actually inspired by you again, from seeing some great posts on LinkedIn, where we get a lot of information from, of course, because we follow a lot of interesting people and projects. Yep. So this post came through a group called 3D for Ecotech, which is
3D for Ecotech.
3D for Ecotech, and the idea is to use, these laser scanners and photogrammetry. I don't know if I can even pronounce it right, but which you can get from drones which fly with a laser, or you actually mobile laser, a guy walking around with them, or also stationary lasers and all these kind of stuff that can generate a lot of data. And I
remember when we saw these packs.
On the back exactly.
The first time. It was a bit weird. We've never seen sensors like that.
No, and I don't know how big it is. It's only in academia for now, at least. These are also academic, how can I say, results they represent and they post about. And through that, they follow or are part of a project called Smart Forest.
Yeah.
which is a project, a research project, which runs in Norway, which runs from 2020.
Is it only Norway?
Yeah, it is. It's let me see here. I have a note on it. 2 seconds. Yeah, it's a Norwegian initiative aimed at enhancing the country's forest sector through digital transformation.
Yeah.
And it's from 2020 to 2028.
Okay.
And it's under this Center for Research-Based Innovation. But yeah, it's a Norwegian. But that when it's a research project like this, you have researchers, probably PhD students coming from all over the place. So it's whenever you are talking about this kind of research, it's you want to at least get the results out globally. But it's initiated by Norway. And the general idea of the entire project is to how do we take these emerging technologies and data, and how do we make that available for people, and how do we get all that data to some results that people can actually use for something.
Yeah.
And one of the papers is about it's called the 4 species 20K dataset, and the 20K is because you actually have laser data, or what you call point clouds, and imagery of 20,000 individual trees.
Yeah.
Which represent 33 species across Europe.
Yeah.
And some from other continents, but not a lot. And the idea is to have this entire data set, and then you can train machine learning models on how to identify species from this. That's one of the use cases for it. If I have this data set and I then go out in a forest and run around with my LiDAR, or I have a drone flying around with it, or something else, how can I then get that data into my computer, run it through this model, and it can give me what are the species of this.
Okay, so the input is LiDAR-based data.
It can actually both be LiDAR and imagery, and they have some results on this.
Okay.
And just to give a little of introduction on the entire data set, where it comes from.
Yeah.
You have this that is about 20,000 trees across Europe with 33 species. And it's from boreal, temperate, and Mediterranean areas. So it's not just, in the northern part of Europe.
Yeah.
And they are captured 70% using terrestrial LiDAR sensors, I think. Okay. Terrestrial meaning it's something that you go out and put on a, when you do you have a laser, you put on a
stand,
and then you move that around the entire tree.
Yeah.
And then you get really precise measurements.
Yeah.
These are like the lasers that, what is called in English, in Danish, it's landmåler, landscape measures who measure for buildings and roads and all these things. And for some of this, they need really precise measurements.
Yeah.
So 70% of the data is captured that way. So someone has driven out there with these lasers and actually mapped an entire tree. It's really impressive, the amount of work that is put into this. And then you have 22% with these UA they say uncrewed aerial vehicles. Uncrewed means it's a drone.
Uh-huh.
And then you have mobile laser scanning, where someone is going around, or you have a mobile robot driving around. And that's only 8%. So most of the data for this data set is from these actual.
That is actually quite impressive.
Yeah, it's 20,000.
Does it say anything about, what kind of work that actually went into collecting all that data?
No, I have. That probably is another
paper.
There's
a lot of students.
Yeah. This paper is to present the data set, but also to present some results on that, how well, when you train some of these models on it, how well do they perform afterwards?
Okay.
So that's the main point of this paper. And they divide it up into 2 parts. So one is this point cloud based. Point cloud just means that you have a cloud of points where each point is a measurement from a laser.
Yeah.
And if you have a lot of these points, you can kind of visualize an entire whatever it could be. In this case, it's a tree, but you can also use it to look at, when we did mobile robots, it was okay, what is in front of me or where's something around me?
Yeah.
Instead of you only have one plane of looking, you have a lot of points, which then you call a cloud. Yes. And the other one is just actually image-based. So let's just, while we do all this laser stuff, take some pictures as well.
Yeah.
Of these trees. So you have the point cloud and the imagery.
Yes.
And then they have done the work of dividing these into these two technologies, or how do you say, representation of the data, and then train different models on this to see how well do they then perform afterwards. And of course, here's a quiz question. Given that you have these, point clouds with a lot of data, you also have a lot of data in the image, but what do you think performs the best?
What performs the best?
Yeah,
in terms of
so the idea is you train it on the data.
Yeah.
And then you train your model, and then you have that model, and then you come to your model with a data set of a tree and says, what is this tree? And then it guesses and says, okay, this is a Scottish pine.
Yeah.
And then the same you train with imagery, and then you do the same.
I would say imagery.
Yeah, it does. It's not that much of an improvement, but generally speaking, the imagery models outperform the point cloud models.
Yeah. I would also assume that point clouds are better for other use cases than, detecting species.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it doesn't... It's sort of weird to me.
Yeah, and I guess I understand what's going on from a, academic research point of view of publishing papers. You have this great data set. Let's, throw it at some models and see what we can do.
Yeah.
Which is also great, that's also research.
You could also learn a lot of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, and then I say that, okay, generally speaking, the image models outperforms the point cloud models. So the highest accuracy, what would you want an accuracy of this to be, actually? What would you accept?
80.
Is that so 20, you accept that 20% of the time it guesses wrong?
Yeah, I don't know. But, I mean, as always, the 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
Of course, in the perfect world, it would just be 100% correct all the time.
Yeah, and there's no perfect. That's also what happens in all these models. There's no perfect.
Yeah. Do you have a number?
Yeah. The best performing image model, which is called Detail View, is an accuracy of 79.5.
Wow.
So close to 80.
Yeah.
Followed by another imagery model, YOLO. V5, which is 77.9.
YOLO, doesn't that mean, isn't that a slang for something?
Yeah, you only live once. I don't know why it's...
Okay.
You only look once. I don't know. That's the...
Yeah, maybe.
So yeah, that's also close to 80. And the best point cloud model was something called Ensemble Point Net ++.
Whoa.
Yeah, but that's 75.6%.
Okay,
so it
75.
outperforms...
What was the YOLO?
77.9.
Okay.
So it's still, they're pretty close, right?
Yeah.
And the reason they state here for the image-based superiority is that the models for imagery are better, more mature. One can also say that, at least from my knowledge, a lot of the early work on machine learning comes from imagery, which also makes sense because that's how we view.
Yeah, but also, I mean, it'd be so much easier to collect the data.
Yep.
Because
that's also my, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just who has.
Yeah.
Of course, I know your phone. Some phones are able to collect point clouds, but that's sort of it.
Yeah, and it also states here that doesn't really matter much where the LiDAR data comes from. So this really high precision you can get from these terrestrial.
Yeah.
Doesn't give you any, at least in this use case. But again, I don't know why the species capture which species it is. I can see that one of the things you, of course, just differentiating between needle and broadleaf is that you have some structural things that are pretty clear.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But again, an imagery can capture that.
In that case, I would expect 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. And there also is a much higher accuracy for large trees. So this works way better if the trees are above 8 meters.
With LiDAR or...
both.
Okay. Above what? 8?
8 meters.
Okay.
And it drops significantly when they go below 5 meters.
Yeah, okay.
And here it says... I'm actually not sure that they are counting in the visual stuff here, because one of the... What they conclude is most likely the cause of this drop in performance is that the limited structural details, less ground complexity. And that makes sense, right? In trees, that then you begin to really lose that.
Yeah.
And occlusions in laser scanning data. Things getting in the way.
I would also say, my accuracy on guessing what kind of species it is also drops with the height of the tree.
Mine drops faster.
Yours is just low from the beginning.
Yeah, then it can't drop that much. Then of course there's a lot of other things in this, because even though you have 20,000 different trees, it's hard to train if you, for example, the Scottish pine again, if you only have 5 of those trees. So again, you should probably have 20,000 trees of each species before you have a really, really good training set. But you can see, just collecting that data, if it needs to be high quality laser data.
Yeah.
Again, if you can do something with some imagery from satellites and so on.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I mean, of course, 20,000 seems like a lot.
Yeah.
But is it really a lot?
Yeah, and there's 33 species, so...
Yeah.
I'm not the one to state what's enough, right? But
no.
And there also this 80%, around 80% accuracy. You can of course also make that better if you have better training data.
Yeah.
Or more training data.
But I wonder if the models top off around 80, because I mean you're close to 80.
Yeah.
So it's just good enough. Let's carry on.
Yeah, and you have that. Of course, you have that in any. So when you do optimization, which this machine learning in a sense is, if the structure of the problem is a given one, you can always find the optimal point, which is it's called a convex problem. Then you can always find the optimal point. As when it's non-convex, it gets harder, and that's why machine learning is winning. It's used so much is because it can kind of go into problems that are not convex.
Yeah.
But then you need to stop them, because when is it good enough?
Yeah, exactly.
And that could be one of the points. Let's stop when at least it's about 80.
Yeah.
If we don't have any movement, so it's an algorithm, and you look at I don't know a better word, but movement of something. And if everything is standing still, even though you try to do something, why continue?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. But we kind of discussed this point cloud versus image-based models. Also from a practical point of view, I will also say it's at least nice to know that the image tends to work better, because it's much cheaper technology, so it's much easier to get data.
Is there any specification on what kind of imagery? I mean, resolution or...
No, none on that. It just says image-based.
Yeah.
So I don't... And you, of course, have a point here, because what's the quality of the data from the imagery?
Yeah. Do you remember the first phones that was capable of, both, displaying a photo, but also taking a photo? The first phone.
Yeah, the first one was cameras.
Yeah,
I think I had a Nokia. One of the first with a I can't actually remember if there was a camera on that, but I have one of the first Nokias with color display.
Yeah.
I can't remember if there was a camera on those. Did the camera come with the iPhone actually, or was that before?
Yeah, that's actually a good question.
I can't remember. Did the first iPhone have a camera?
It definitely had. It definitely had color displays before cameras, right?
Yeah.
And they were like 255 56 colors.
The same, just with color. Yeah.
Yeah. But they were bad.
Yeah, they were really bad, and that was also one of the things that came with Apple going into this is the quality of screens and stuff like that went up.
Yeah.
I had the first smartphone I had was an HTC, the first they made.
Ugh.
Yeah. Did you know with the? No, that's one. Was that what the one I had? You know, it had a little like a ball like a mouse.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, they wasn't great.
Yeah.
But back then, the first iPhones didn't really work well in Europe.
No. I guess it was first with the iPhone 3S, something like that, wasn't it?
Something, yeah. Yeah, I think, the first generation, I think you needed it, hacked or cracked or whatever to even get it working.
Yeah.
So, I can't remember.
But the reason why I said it was, of course, because of the devices that we have now in terms of capturing.
Exactly. The availability of just capturing high quality imagery.
Exactly.
Everyone has it in the pocket now.
Yeah.
And the ones with the big iPhones also have a laser now.
Yeah.
But again, I will also, as you will probably also know, would say is that the laser is good at maybe something else, making. So with a camera, you can actually make it a 3D model because you can move it around, and that will give you some measurements. And by that, then you know also what could be the diameter of a tree.
Mm-hmm.
But having the laser just makes that much more accurate.
Yeah.
That could be, and we know for the Arboreal app, which is used for measuring, that makes totally sense that you use both.
Exactly. Yeah. Does it actually say anything about what could we expect of this project in?
That was gonna be my question actually for you, because how does this do anything for forestry? I think, and that's also how research should work. It should not necessarily be with an outtake. Then someone in forestry can use this.
Yeah.
Maybe they will someday. Maybe they won't. But now we know.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
kind of
that's research.
First of all, one thing I thought about, how important is it to actually be able to, differentiate species when you're out there? Most, forester can do it easily. I know I can't do it, but is it that important? And if you talk about this traditional or forestry, where a lot of the tree species in an area, you want that to be the same. And this is on individual trees, remember that. This is not like on a stand level you look at what is the stand species. This is just on individual trees.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this will move into... Yeah. One of the things they say is that it can revolutionize, biodiversity monitoring and carbon accounting.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, if you have all the details on each single tree, you get a much more accurate estimate on how much carbon is there.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's, in how we know it today at least, it's a bit overkill.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, this whole, how much information can you capture on a single tree, and how much information do you actually need on a single tree?
Yeah.
And it will probably evolve as we get devices and measures, and
and you can extrapolate all this. If you actually had complete knowledge on each single tree, then you can, just from a market point of view, I can begin to actually, evaluate that single tree much earlier and all this. And maybe you can also use it to, okay, this is the tree I want to...
It's also the digital twin.
Yeah.
Where if you have a representation of the entire forest in, let's say, digital space.
Yeah.
We could actually simulate events and environmental change and a lot of things on that stand to see how it reacts and speed up time and everything.
Yeah, that's of course, if you have really good models of how these trees evolve, and you can do all these scenarios. Also, we talked about forest fires. We do that because they happen all the time. But then you can also simulate how would a forest fire actually impact an area, and
you could impose certain, let's say, extreme temperature and drought and all kinds of stuff, and then see how that will actually, have a risk of forest burst into flames.
Yeah, and what this can provide you is, I guess, it can't really say anything about what goes on in the future. It can say something about the data set has just these individual trees.
Yeah.
So, but if you make the same data set, and if you could, what you would probably need is you need to capture the trees during different years. So they should do this measurement of each tree again in 5 years, and then in 5 years, and then you have data so you can actually begin to create growth models from that are more accurate. And
that's another project, right?
Yeah, and all this, digital twins. We have heard about that for years now,
but all this smart forest 4.0 is what it's called, right?
What?
Smart forest. Isn't it called?
The project is called Smart Forest. It's probably sold like forestry 4.0, which is, from industry, we call it industry 4.0, which was, the idea is that the next revolution in industry.
Yeah.
I can't even remember. The first one was probably I can't remember what they count as the first one. It's these whenever the industry revolutionizes, and one of them was the steam machine was one of the revolutions.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one in it is, but the fourth revolution will be that it will be data driven.
Yeah.
And this is the same kind of idea you put on forestry, that the next generation of revolution of forestry will be that it's much more data driven.
Yeah. But, just detecting species, that's a minor part of what I would label as Forestry 4.0.
Yeah, and this is also just one publication from the entire project. And what I will say is that one of the things this project do is they create these data sets, which is you need that in order to be able to do anything about, because if it's data driven, you need the data, right? So they do that. So it's called Smart Forest, just to get back to that, bridging Industry 4.0 to the Norwegian forest sector. So that's...
Yeah, so on Smart Forest homepage, it says the primary objective of Smart Forest is to improve the efficiency of the Norwegian forest sector by enabling a digital revolution transforming forest information, silviculture, forest operations, wood supply, and the overall digital information flow in the sector.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Yeah.
That would capture something like Forestry 4.0.
Yeah. And if you look at these methods and data sets, you can see that they have...
There's actually an annual report for each year.
Yeah. I don't know who is putting money into this. Of course, it's Norway. I don't know if they have anything else. But if you do a EU project, you also need to do annual reporting.
Yeah. There's a lot of partners.
Probably, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's on the home...
Yeah.
Yeah.
You also have Komatsu.
Yeah, and a lot of forestry companies. So yeah. Norskog, yeah. Nibio, yeah, and the Nibio we see a lot, which is also the Norwegian Institute for Bioeconomics.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also an 8-year project. Nice. And
it is nice.
From also an academic interest, there's a lot of papers. So they are publishing a lot. So there's a lot of things going on, and it's an interesting thing to follow all this. With the data-driven stuff, and of course, when in academia and so on, you go further than what's probably needed at the moment, but that's also how it should be.
Yeah. It's actually quite funny if you look at the board of directors. Then it's actually a mix of, I would assume, companies that are in competition with each other.
That happens a lot. You could, from my experience at Aalborg University, you could have large wind projects where Siemens, Vestas are partners in it.
Okay. That's nice.
Yeah, but that's what academia can do, because either you are part of the group, you're left out, do you want that? And then you handle... So when research goes on in a project, the commercial partners can try to, do IP on it. Mm-hmm. If it's theirs. Yeah. And they can also try to buy IP from the university if it's the university who...
Okay.
So that's part of an agreement when you do these projects.
How do you value that?
That's a good question. And the universities...
I would assume who would be the loser in that context.
Yeah, but back in it has become a big thing now. Uh-huh. But back in the days, the university was like, we don't want IP. We create knowledge. We want to publish it.
Yeah, but they want money.
Yeah.
Or is that a new thing?
That's a new thing.
Okay.
Because back then, it wasn't that money driven. It was, you got a lot of money from the state and all that, and you use that to do research.
Yeah.
But now it's a company.
Yeah.
And now you have lawyers at the university.
Yeah.
And now each researcher, each year, has a meeting with a lawyer who asks you, have you done anything, we could write a patent on?
Yeah.
And a lot of that comes from, I think, as far as I remember, back from Stanford and all these, they have now a lot of patents that they earn money on.
Yeah.
So it's a big business. Yeah.
Yeah, and if I guess universities are also in competition with each other, right?
Yeah, you can say that.
Yeah.
Both in attracting students, the
prestige.
best, and the best young people and all that. Of course, they are.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I'm not personally a big fan of patents, and what you see is, at least also in the coding community, is there's a lot of push for open source.
Yeah,
even from also big companies.
Yeah.
You can Meta,
but it is also nice.
Meta, which is from Facebook, they are releasing they're doing so much for machine learning, AI, and they are open sourcing it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Good. Interesting. Should we?
They are failing in the project on diversity. I can see in the the steering group. Only one woman.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's not go into that discussion.
No.
Okay. So should we move on?
Yeah.
So I have just one thing, and it's actually try Google Plantma dash A.
Plantma and then
dash A.
Dash A.
Yeah. Or just Plantma.
Is it this? What is Plantma? Plantma Forestry.
Yeah. So a revolutionary shift. Plantma takes tree plantation into a new era. With the capacity to plant 3,000 seedlings per hour, Swedish Plantma is a veritable game changer. Full Order Books tells us that this multifunctional planting machine marks the beginning of a revolutionary shift. Plantma sets a new standard in mechanized planting, said Magnus Sandström, CEO, Plantma Forestry. Do you have a picture of the machine?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
It's actually a quite impressive machine, to be honest.
Yeah, it's hard for me to see exactly how it operates, but and I don't even what. Okay, the front is okay. Yeah, I think I know what the front is. It's just there's also like someone sitting there in the back or what?
Yeah.
And then is it two arms?
Yeah, so the back is called, it actually has a, let me just jump in the article a bit. Yeah, so the Plantma unit is mounted on a forwarder and is compatible with many different makes and models. The unit is operated by two people, so one in the front cab and is responsible for driving around and maneuvering and all that kind of stuff. And then there's the rear cab where there's an operator overseeing the whole planting and also feeds in the seedlings. And the machine can carry up to 20,000 seedlings. So it can just continue for one day.
Okay.
And I don't know, are you on a page with some pictures?
Yeah, and I would just I wanted to because they also have some videos, but that's a YouTube channel.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually a quite nice video. Yeah. So this company was launched in, or maybe just a machine in 22, and it seems like it's there's a lot of companies and organization interested in this, and it's of course because planting is pretty much relying on manual labor. And also, if you look at the terrain, you can see that in the video. It's really a harsh terrain. It's not like we also have agricultural land in Denmark converting into forest.
But, really flat and nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. So this is for areas that has been forestry before actually planting again. And there is this Australian company. It has already planted 1.6 million trees with this machine in just 3 months.
Yeah, it looks like, and then you have like a mag when you put them in there.
Yeah, it's really impressive. And also, do you remember when we talked about what was the name of that robot?
The one from Södra?
Yeah.
Yeah, what was it? It's kind of the similar thing, but there you didn't have any operators.
Yeah, it was autonomous.
Yeah.
But again, also, looking at how this operates, it also, of course, prepare the earth.
The soil, yeah.
Yeah, in terms of planting the seedlings.
Yeah.
So, as mentioned earlier, Plantex prepares the ground to ensure optimal growth conditions and can be optimized with either an intelligent disc scarcifier, scarifier, or a subsoiler. The Plantma scarifier sold has a very low impact on the ground due to its adjustable ground pressure and ability to work intermittently. And I've seen the video. It's just being applied, whenever there's a seedling that needs to go into the ground.
Yeah, the
disc.
Yeah, that kind of prepares the ground, and then. But do you see the mist that comes out every time they? Okay.
The subsoiler is a new in-house product that was introduced last year in response to strong demand from South American markets. So blah 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 blah. Yeah. So ground preparation and planting are completed in a single pass with the option to add fertilizer and pesticides application into this loop.
All right.
Yeah. It's I think it's really impressive. I mean.
Yeah. Okay, I can see.
And then it's actually quite fun here because the survival rate with this Södra machine, I think that was stated at around 75%, as I recall. So
yeah, I think we discussed it was quite an improvement from manual.
Yeah. But here, listen, an upcoming study examines survival rate a few months after planting conducted by Latvian State Forestry Institute, following a plant max demonstration in the Baltics, suggests that the survival rate under different growing conditions is approximately 90%, which are excellent figures in North European conditions.
Yeah.
So not only is it extremely productive, it also ensures a high survival rate.
I wonder why that's higher, from doing it probably manual. I don't know. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, it also says that, the arms are also intelligent in a way if and again, I don't know what kind of, how good it is to determine if it actually is a good place to plant the seedling, but it has some kind of logic in terms of figuring out where to put it in. And if it's for some reason can't plant at the the location that it was supposed to do, it of course finds a new one and then recalculates the pattern moving forward.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, and then again, I think you also said that last time, the whole process is of course controlled. It's not like a man with a shovel,
Yeah, you're right.
At some point in time, he's concentrated, and then the mind wanders. It's just a machine.
Yeah, and but of course, this machine takes two people, one for driving and one for refilling the magazines of seedlings.
Yeah.
But again, it looks like you can do it fast. It just drives.
Yeah, it is fast.
And you don't have any hard labor.
Yeah.
Okay, over time it's hard to sit there, and of course.
Yeah,
but
I've seen some of the videos. The guy sitting in the back.
Yeah, he needs to work fast.
Not the one that's driving the machine. It's always when you drive it. It's also when you drive in a car.
Yeah.
You can go crazy and you don't feel nothing, and the guy next to you, he's. I mean, the guy in the back. He's flying around.
Yeah, you're right.
That cabin.
I would become seasick,
and he has no idea what's going on in front of the machine.
Yeah, you're right.
Poof.
Yeah,
that takes a person to sit there.
And it's some big machinery, right?
But also, if you look at this, I would assume that, of course, it would be nice if it drove itself. But I mean, that's not so easy to. Again,
that depends on the terrain and everything, but yeah.
But the guy in the back, I guess, I mean, couldn't you replace him?
Yeah, you could of course make some smart way of getting the seedlings into these magazines.
Of course, it also depends, if there is anything obstructing the machine. I don't know how involved the operator is in the back in order to keep things going.
It seems like it goes for itself. It only needs to replenish, but there could be something, because I could also see a lot of things getting stuck. And with driving in this terrain, they go down into the dirt with branches, and I could also see
while driving.
Yeah. So yeah.
And again, if for some reason it breaks down or not breaks down, there's something that intervenes and he does what he needs to do in the back, and then we carry on.
Yeah.
I mean, if the operator of the machine needs to jump out, go into the back, fix stuff, go up again, and then continue. I mean, then the productivity would
exactly, and
drop.
That's what automation is all about. I back when I was doing machinery for food processing, it's all about not breaking down.
Yeah.
That's what costs money.
Yeah.
One break in such a line of processing.
Yeah. And what I think about this, it seems like, at least for now, with the technology involved, it seems like the perfect mix of sort of, we automate to here.
Yeah.
And then we just throw two people into the machine.
Yeah, and then if that's good enough, stop. You know, again, like with the models and everything else,
Yeah. And it actually says that PlantMax units are now operating in Sweden, Brazil, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and full order books for the coming years. So,
congrats. Nice work.
That seems like a success.
Yeah, really nice.
Yeah.
I like to see that. Yeah. Do you remember the movie Tropic Thunder?
No.
It's controversial now because Robert Downey Jr. did what's called blackface. He plays a black man.
Yeah.
It's a comedy. I think it's written by Ben Stiller. He's also the head person or the lead role.
Yeah.
It's a really good movie. It's funny. But there they say, so he wants to get. He's like an action.
Yeah. Robert Downey Jr. He's definitely black.
Yeah, and the idea with the movie is you get all these different actors into it, and Robert Downey Jr. is this. He gets all the Oscars, so he's like a method actor and so on. And Ben Stiller is like an action actor.
Yeah.
But he really wants to be recognized for his acting.
Okay. Yeah.
So he made a movie which is a kind of it's taken from Forrest Gump, right? Where he plays a retard. It's in that's not fun. Tropic Thunder is not about that, but then they say to him, and he thought he would win an Oscar for this, right? And they are sitting and discussing it because they get lost in the jungle. And Robert Downey Jr., who has a lot of Oscars, says, everybody knows you don't go full retard. Even Forrest Gump didn't go full retard. He could run, and he was really bright and some way and became a millionaire from shrimp fishing and all this. Never go full retard. And the reason I'm thinking about it is because that's how I see automation. Don't go full autonomy.
Yeah.
Watch out, man. Watch out.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So I like the this split.
Yeah.
And then you can always optimize on top of it.
Yeah. Exactly.
If it's needed.
If it's needed, yeah. And of course, it's needed at some point in time.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby. Okay, yeah, so that was the Plantma machine.
Yeah.
I don't think we should go into this today, but there is some time time thing involved in this this news here. And that's, of course, Trump. He's throwing around with tariffs.
Yeah.
And Canada is, of course, one of those companies that are being hit. Yeah, countries being hit actually this weekend.
Kudos to how fast he moves, at least. But man, I don't know what the consequences of all this is.
No, but it's actually been paused yesterday.
So
for 1 month.
Who paused it?
I think they. Yeah, but Mexico, Canada, and China, they all introduced tariffs the other way.
Yeah, that's the only thing you can do.
Yeah, and where is the news? No, of course I can't find it. Jesus. Yeah, but so it's paused for 1 month, as they try to figure out how to to come up with something that will sort of make Donald Trump happy, and then we can go back to normal business.
At least it's going to be interesting times.
Yeah, But one of the things she said that we have all the oil we need, we have all the trees we need, and of course that's in terms of timber. They actually import a lot of timber from Canada.
Yeah,
and apparently. And that's why we won't go into this now, because I think that's for another episode. There is actually some kind of dispute between Canada and US on lumber.
Okay, so like an old running dispute.
Yeah.
Okay.
It seems like. So I think maybe we should dive into that at some point.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to actually figure out what that is.
It's also interesting, the whole geopolitical. How does that actually affect the whole forestry, timber lumber business?
Yeah,
because if what has happened is happening or going to happen the next 4 years is at least that we're all going to be affected somehow. That's pretty clear.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Interesting. But let's not go there today.
No. The last thing I would like to say is that I hope you also followed the weekend that Denmark is now for the 4th time in a row world champions in handball.
Yes.
Never happened before, but it didn't happen, 3 times in a row. It's also only in Denmark.
Yeah.
So shout out
to
the best handball country in the world.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I just wish it was football. Not to say anything bad about handball.
No, let's just be honest. The competition is not as fierce in handball as it is in in football.
Yeah, but that's a perfect way to end this.
End it on a high.
Yeah. Let's say
that's it.
Ciao, baby.
Yeah.
See you in the next one.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.